Okay, let's get started. It's just about 12 noon, and I can totally hear myself echoing. That's really weird. Huh. Can you guys hear that? I see that there's a couple people watching, and I want to make sure that there's not a problem. Maybe I need to. Let's see, I think this I need to turn off. Okay, let's turn off this one. That wasn't the one I wanted to turn off. Okay, there we go. That was bad, huh? I had another Mom TV uh, window open because I wanted to make sure that I had everything set, and I was going to tweet something, and whew, I don't need to hear myself in stereo, that's for sure. So today's Monday, March 28th, and I know we've had a few days where we haven't had our Mom TV show. Rather than twice a month, it's been once a month. I think we had a snow day. We had the Monday before I was getting ready to go to Disney Social Media Mom Celebration. So I appreciate those of you coming back to see what we're up to. And today, in keeping with what we have on our website this week, wanted to talk with you about working mobile. I had a great time last week at the Disney Social Media Mom Celebration. You can see plenty of that on my website. Actually, in the coming few weeks, I'll be starting to share posts along with our regular home organization and time management content. It's relevant if you're going on spring break, even if you're not going to Disney World, just some of the planning tips and insights. And then, of course, for those of you who would like to see a little bit more, not only about the conference, but about Disney itself, there should be plenty for you to pick from. In fact, I think we're going to go ahead and start a new tab just for that. But one of the things that was interesting about that conference for me was it's the first time that I attended a conference with a partial sponsor. Honda, as in America Honda Corporation, as in Honda Odyssey Touring Elite Minivan Extraordinaire, Honda sponsored the road trip portion of our trip, not the actual conference. That wasn't something that I would pursue at all, but the actual road trip, because we drive to Disney, we drive to Florida from where we live, it's about 10 hours. My wheels started turning and I was thinking, this might be a great opportunity to partner with an automaker because gas prices are rising. It's a wonderful trip to share some information, and it's bookended on either side of a great event. So I was really excited when Honda said, yes, we'd love to work with you. And I had lots of time inside their car, 10 hours there, 10 hours back, to do some different things, to get some work done, hang out with my kids, get some correspondence done. And it really opened my eyes to mobile working. I hadn't really thought a lot about that topic lately. I think I just do it without thinking about it, like most moms probably do. I hope you do. We've got time waiting in carpool. We've got time waiting in an activity. You've got idle time when you're at home and maybe you have 30 minutes here or 15 minutes there. And so I challenged myself to think about how we could have a conversation today about mobile work time. So real quickly, I'm just going to hop on over to Twitter and let everybody know that we've gotten started and they can join us. First of all, when it comes to mobile work time, the first thing I think that I want to share with you is to take a look at your schedule. And I've got a pen here somewhere. Take a look at your schedule and tally up the amount of time that you spend working. You spend working. And then, because you might actually not know that. You might not have a good inventory of your work time. And you might not realize how many hours you're putting in, whether it's enough, whether maybe it's too much. Maybe you're not being as efficient as you need to be. And maybe you need to do something a little bit differently there to make sure that you're using your time to the best of your ability. So I want to make sure that once you know how much time you have, let me just go ahead and put this on Twitter. Join us on Mom TV now. It's so funny because I know everybody's probably thinking, I don't need to worry about maxing my time when I'm working mobile. But if you want to make sure that when you have FaceTime with your kids, and you want to make sure that this summer you have time available, you have to think about these things and actually create strategies that'll work well for you. So, making plans for summer work. All right, there we go. I'm not good at tweeting at the same time as we broadcast. I find it challenging enough to even manage the chat room. So, okay, first step, number 1, look at how many hours you need to work or you are working. Maybe they're different, maybe they're the same. And then I want you to look at how many hours you have in your schedule a week and really take a peek and see if you have any found time. I'm talking about time that you didn't realize you had at your disposal. I spend about 8 hours every week in my car going back and forth for carpool, for school, for activities, waiting at the ballet studio, waiting over at the tennis court, waiting at the ball field. And sometimes that's time that I can use, and sometimes it's not nearly enough time that I can use. If I'm just blowing in, picking somebody up, and we're moving on, that's not time to use. But if I can't craft a route that enables me to do the most with the time that I'm out on the road, meaning make other stops, then I've got some downtime on my hands. Let me give you an example. One day a week, we have activities for all 3 kids in different locations. I take one child to an activity, I move on from that activity, and I drop off another child. I return to the first child's location. Number 3 child is going to get a ride home and meet myself and number 1 child at the day back at home, and number 2 child who's still at their activity, dad's going to pick up. Did you follow that? Because what's going to happen there is I'm either going to have the chance to run an errand in the 45-minute between dropping off number 2 and going back to get number 1, or going back to where number 1 is and using that 45 minutes to do any manner of things. I can take my laptop and work on some writing. I can take thank you notes and write personal notes to my friends and family or business colleagues. I can file paperwork, pay bills, put stamps on an envelope. You name it, I can do all of those things in that 45-minute block. So when I'm making my schedule for the week, if I think to myself, I've got some mundane tasks, some stuff I don't want to think about. When's a good time where I could multitask and not take time away from my family or take time away from billable work time or time when I'm on the clock for somebody else? That's a really good thing to do. I'm going to go ahead and take those files and carry them on with me over to that one afternoon when I have all that waiting time. Hi, Ashley. How are you today? Thanks for coming. I realized I should have said good afternoon, everyone, in the chat room. I haven't done that. So taking a look at my schedule and finding time where I have downtime that I can't use any other way is a great time to plug in mindless activities like paying bills and whatnot. Now, let's say you, just like Ashley and I, you may have just traveled to a conference or you're going to be going to an event with your family and you still have work that you have to do. That's really, really hard because your family wants you and you want to be with your family, but you may be at a work event, or while you're on vacation, it may be a semi-working vacation for you. I know one of our colleagues, Fiona, excuse me, from Bantering Blonde, she still had plenty of work that she had to do while she was on vacation at Disney World after the Disney Social Media Mom celebration. Hi, Happy Housewife. How are you? Thanks for coming by. So Fiona, she had work she had to do even though she was on spring break with her family. So she had to figure out how to juggle her work time and what she needed to do. In order to work away from home in another state after traveling on a plane, she had to make sure to bring all the right technology with her so that it was seamless. It was no different than she was working from home. So I'd love to know from you guys what kind of solutions you travel, but I'll give a little recap. The first, in terms of working mobile, you want to identify, ooh, I have a yucky color today. Let's change that, right? There we go. Ooh, that's not even nice. I need something bright and cheery. We have really, really crazy weather here today. It's cold, and I actually had to get out my boots. I don't even know. I got out my Uggs. I mean, I know that's supposed to be a good thing, but pea green. Hi, Amy Hodges. How are you? Okay, so working mobile, first, identify how many hours you need to work, okay, just in general. And then second, identify in your work schedule or in your family schedule, where do you have downtime? Just dead time. That is waiting time. I'm not going to say downtime, I'm going to say dead time, because you spend it waiting and you could use it in other ways. Okay, so after you do those two things, what is this dead time you speak of? Well, I was just giving the example that on one day a week I have two children that I take to activities. I drop off one, then I go drop off the other. And then I have 45 minutes before the first one's done. And at the same time, the third one is going to be meeting myself and the first one at home when we get home. And the second one is going to be picked up by my husband. And that's a crazy afternoon. But if I'm focused, I end up with 45 minutes in there that I could use. Hi, Lily 14. Nice to see you. I could use those 45 minutes for creative time if I can think clearly. I could use those 45 minutes mindlessly and file bills, pay bills. That's a little bit more stressful. But I could use that time creatively to write if I knew that I wanted to work in sections. Sometimes working in sections really is helpful. Maybe you don't have a big enough time block for creativity, but you could do the intro to something, you could do the end of something, or the meat and potatoes. Or you can certainly just spend that time writing notes to your friends and family, making sure to get those birthday cards done. And I would know that every week, that 45-minute block, I could use that way. Another way I could use that 45-minute block is meal planning, coupon organizing. It's downtime, dead time, not downtime. Okay, dead time that I'm trapped somewhere. So the question is, do I take a nap or do I use the time? And maybe I take a nap. That's not a bad thing. Amy, you're saying you have to wait a ridiculously long time in carpool. Well, that's exactly right. And carpool is a killer. One of the suggestions that I have in our article on the site this week, as part of our Honda series, is that you could use that carpool time when you're parked. Okay, just when you're parked. It's great phone time. You don't have to plan for making a lot of calls. You could just plan on catching up with a friend, or you could take that to call list. I'm a big fan of to call, to do, to buy when it comes to getting your task organized. Take that to call list with you in the car, have your cell phone charged up, and tackle it. Have your planner in hand, have your phone in hand, and go after it. And then you've made a really good use of that time. Again, I'm not going to say it's a problem if you choose to have a nap. That's your choice. But I'm going to go ahead and put in our website address, because this article about using this time to work mobily is there. And I would love to know your guys' suggestions, I would love to know your suggestions about how you use your time if you need to work mobile. We've talked about carpool and working within our family schedules, but I'm also curious to know a little bit about how people handle working when they're away from home at a conference or at a meeting and they still have work to do. Happy housewife, sometimes things are too big to carry along. Your coupon binder needs some attention, but it's too bulky to spread out in the car. That can be an issue. You might want to check into, you might want to check Target or Office Max, Staples, Office Depot. You can go online and do a little research and look for a file carrying case that has handles. On the website this week, the example that I give is just a little, box with a little flip lid and a handle, and it has the two little snap locks. But you can find carrying cases that have handles, and you could put that coupon binder in there. I guess it just depends on how much you try and tackle. Maybe you only want to tackle one part of the binder, and therefore, you'd be able to spread out. Again, it all goes back to time. I would hate to see you take your coupon binder to carpool, spread it all out, and just about the time everybody's coming in, you'd have to put it back, because that would not be worth your time at all. So it's always about estimating time. Hi, Sarah. Thank you for stopping by. So if anybody else has any suggestions about that for Happy Housewife, let her know. But I think coupon binder is one of those things where you just want to make sure that you don't get yourself too far down the road. If you need to catch up on a project like your coupon binder, you could do it in stages. Just like I said, just take it a section at a time and catch it up. Let's see, Sarah, you're designing the ballet program cover. Oh, I love it. I love that you dance, Sarah. It's so awesome. I'm hoping that it's going to work out, that I can come see you, because that's such a blessing. And let's see, what do we have? Mama of all trades, you're catching up on reading mail on road trips, bringing magazines, catalogs, mail, and you sort it while your husband drives. Entertainment and being productive. It is, and that's really another way to think about, even if you don't do that on a road trip, you can do that obviously in carpool, and that might even feel like a luxury. I know some people that have a lot of downtime, dead time, waiting for their kids, they convert it to downtime, and that becomes their weekly reading window. So think about that. If you've got a good book that you want to read and you always say, I never have any time to read, you could totally, if you had 20 or 30 minutes in carpool like Amy Hodges, you could totally get some reading done right there, and that's almost self-indulgent. Sarah, you like to go through your email on the phone while your husband drives and carpool, etc. Yeah, I mean, it's right there in your hand, and as long as your car is parked or you're not the driver, it's definitely the way to go. So why don't we switch gears now and talk a little bit about planning for your summer work schedule. I love this topic because it was awful for me, and I am just going to say that with a capital A. Last summer, I don't know what I thought, and I should be really good at this by now, but I'll tell you what I thought. What I thought was that my oldest child, who was 15 and almost 16, would somehow be able to be an active contributor in working with our youngest child, who's only 7. Foolish me. We'll just ignore my phone. Well, let's just make sure it's not the school, right? You gotta love that. No, stuff. I always check just to make sure it's not school. So I'm thinking that I'm going to have, Mama's work is never done, right, Amy? I'm thinking, I'm going to have all this help from my oldest. It's going to be awesome. Hello, it was ridiculous. It was absolutely horrid. First of all, we had summer swim teams. So by the time I got back, half the time he wasn't even up, right? Then really what the issue is the dynamic between my youngest and my oldest isn't as creative and play-based as the dynamic between my middle two. So my middle one last summer at only just turning 13, I didn't feel comfortable leaving him with her to be focused on work. So I was stressed every single day. I'm getting up at the crack of dawn, trying to make sure to get a few hours in early before we go to swim team. So literally, I would get up at 5 o'clock and work till about 7:30. Well, I love my long summer nights. Love them. There's nothing better than staying out, catching fireflies, sitting out on the deck with friends, or just sitting out with your family and just soaking in summer. It's my favorite season. I was a train wreck. So what I'm thinking about for this summer is the first step is going to be forecasting how much work can I realistically do this summer. A, do I have contracts that require me to work a certain amount of time? B, am I going to be in a job, anything's possible, that would take my time away from home and therefore require me to make arrangements? C, can I cut back on the amount of work I have in the summer? Because, it's summer and maybe there isn't as much work. Although in the blogging circuit, summer can be a really busy time. So you need to do a little bit of work about forecasting how much work you think you're going to have this summer, okay? Or will you have this summer? And then you need to ask yourself, what's it going to take to cover my kids? Do you have camps spread out strategically planned, right? For your busiest weeks is a good thing, because then there's no guilt. And this is the challenge as a work-at-home mom. I've worked at home for 11 years. Some summers are awesome. Some summers are awful. Last summer was an awful one for us. I underestimated the ability of my older kids to help. I overestimated their ability to help. I underestimated how much help I would need. And then was like in total scramble plan. So let's see. So camp strategically plan for your busiest weeks. If you go to if you're out of town or on deadline, okay? And hopefully you can figure that out. But that's what you do for special weeks. But what do you do on a regular basis? On a regular basis, you want to look at, would it bring more peace for my family if I had a nanny, a college-age girl, which I don't want to think about the fact that my teenage sons might like that, but that's the life Eileen, this is the world I'm living in. I got people with driver's permits in the whole 9 yards. But anyway, would it behoove me to have a college girl home for the summer come over a couple of days a week and totally take over for my 7-year-old? My 13 and 15-year-old, who will be 14 and 16 soon, they'll be able to do their own thing. If they need a ride somewhere, I could take them or the nanny could take them. Would that be a better solution? It's still something that I could really make work. So, do you need part-time care? College student that can drive, okay? Because that's a big issue. Ashley, you're talking about mama of all trades. We're thinking of hiring a friend's daughter who just got to come over for a few hours a week this summer to help me out. I cannot tell you what a smart idea that will be. I'm hoping that I can get my best friend's daughter, who is a college freshman, almost sophomore, who was babysitter for us when our children were much younger. I'm hoping I can piggyback on some of her time this summer and have her watch our youngest. Again, it's not the older two that I'm as concerned about because of the kinds of activities they do, their time with their friends. They are so much more independent, but the younger one, it matters. I'm not saying I turn my older kids loose. Of course I don't. They need to be under general supervision, but there is a leash that you let out. Sarah, those mommy helpers are great, even preteens while you're working at home. Yeah, a preteen can really have a great impact. I think it just depends on what you need. Can you be interrupted for things like taking someone to a class, or do you have time to go sit at swimming when your child's at swim team? It's things like that that you have to think about. Let's see, happy housewife, the same problem. 15-year-old daughter sleeps till noon, and 10-year-old is bored all the time, and you love to spend time, but it's your responsibility to keep them occupied. No, it isn't your responsibility to keep them occupied. In fact, it's your responsibility to teach them to play independently. If anything, you do music camp, drama camp, but they need to entertain themselves. If anything, the biggest challenge is well-timed peer interaction for the teens and tweens, because especially as we get older, they need to be able to spend time without us. As the kids get older as well, you can have that play date going on while you might be working on something, because the play date doesn't require your immediate supervision. But again, the question is, whose summer is it? If you spend all your time working at home and you aren't available to get your kids out to the swimming pool or off to a play date or out to the park or out for a bike ride, then you need to consider replacing yourself, because their summer shouldn't be about sitting at home while you work. Even if you're going to be playing with them periodically, it still isn't about sitting at home while you work. And Ashley, mom of all trades, let me ask this, does anybody do sleepaway camp? Because this is something I haven't done before, and I'm not sure about it, and I'd love your guys' feedback too. Your guys's. Oh my goodness. Do you know I have an English minor? Oh, holy cannoli. I love people's feedback about sleepaway camp, because I'm sure it would probably be a great opportunity for the older ones. They can speak for themselves, they can protect themselves, they can handle themselves. But happy housewife, I'm just like you. I definitely hold on tight, and I don't care that they're teens and taller than me. I don't really want them going anywhere. So that's a challenge. Again, so here we're talking about some different options, and all of these options cost money, right? So what do you do if you don't have $200 a week to pay a college student $10 an hour to spend maybe 20 hours with your kids? Because when you're talking about somebody driving, you need to be able to pay them a little bit more. So it's something to really think about. One great solution is to find a fellow work-at-home mom that you would be willing to do some swap time with. And I know the last thing you want to do is add another burden onto yours, but if you know that your kids if there are similar ages in the family, so I'm going to put this up here, swap time with another mom. And it doesn't matter how old those kids are, okay? I'm going to say with another family. If the kids are similar ages as yours, then what you're doing is you're going to get your couple days a week, and the other work-at-home mom is going to get her couple days a week, and you're going to have that security of knowing they're with another mother, they have a built-in play age mate, they have all of that going on that works for them. You could spread out and have your kids with 3 different families if you needed to. Like in my case, I might have to spread it out and work this among with a couple of different moms, but that would still mean that on the other days, I'd be happy to have those 3 kids come to my house. Those would be really fun days, and we would have them planned for the pool and the park and having picnics, the whole 9 yards. So if money's an issue, really don't overlook the inherent benefit of swapping. And like Sarah said earlier, do not overlook the inherent benefit of a little bit of a mother's helper. Third thing to consider is see if you can wrangle up anybody from church community service, okay? Because it is serving the community if they're helping you. And youth group kids might be able to come help you out with your younger children as well. So those are some of the thoughts that I have, but I really want you to go back to number one, looking at trying to forecast how much work you anticipate you're going to have, how many hours it will take you to do that work this summer. Do you have those hours naturally in your days with your family? And please don't depend on nap time. And do you need to hire somebody to cover for your kids so that you can have that work time? I know a lot of people say it's really hard to work at home when their kids are there. So I'd like to open up and also talk about how do you work from Panera? And I know, Sarah, you do this sometimes. You know, you can't work at home because your kids are all there and everybody's distracted. So some people take that opportunity and they go out to Panera or they go out to Starbucks. And I've never done that. I'm also a little bit worried about the safety of the internet connection, but we all know I'm not exactly the best tech savvy gal on the block. So then there's that. And I get distracted easily with all that noise. So I would like to know if you guys take off and go, what you think about it. Let's see, Sarah, you don't go to Panera anymore? No, why did you change? You just found that you got more done at home? Because I would think just the process of going there, and then of course I'd have to get my latte, and then I'd need a bagel, and then I might run into somebody I know, and the next thing you know, I wouldn't get anything done. Amy, you always think you can get more done, more work in less time than is realistic. You know, oh, they cut you off 30 minutes automatically during the day, even if the store is empty. Oh, wow. So that's really an interesting trend. That'd be a reason not to go to Panera. I guess they don't want you to linger. Amy, your comment about you don't always get as much done in the time that you think you will. Okay, the best way to do that, in order to estimate your time, okay, to try and get your work time, start to track what you do, okay? Start to track how much, I'm not spelling right, track how much time you spend writing a post, how much time you spend networking, how much time you spend pitching, how much time you spend learning, how much time do you spend technical difficulties. Is that a good way to put it? Because all of those things, if you start to track them, if you start this week and you get a pen and paper, and this is my challenge to you guys, start this week, get a pen and paper, and start to track how many hours you're spending working. This not only will tell you how much time you need to budget for everything you do, just on an everyday basis. So let's say you know you need to write 5 posts and it takes you anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour to write a post. You need to find 5 hours to do that work. Voila. Then you're going to look at your calendar and you're going to say, where can I put that in? This will translate for you when you're looking at, you're going to also be paying attention to how much time you're spending running your family around and trying to identify that true dead time that you're not using well. And then you can see if you can start to plug some things in. And then that can translate over to this summer. Okay, I know I'm going to write 5 posts a week. I need 5 hours just for that. I'm going to spend an hour a day at least on Twitter. I need 5 hours for that. I want to spend time connecting with other bloggers, and I want to spend time doing some research. So let's say another 5 hours. Well, look, I'm already up to 15 hours. Hello, 15 hours. That's a lot of time. So you need to know, when are you going to plug those in? Are you going to go on Twitter at night after 9 o'clock when everybody's in bed? Maybe. You're going to go on Twitter at lunchtime? Don't fool yourself and say it's okay if I sit there and tweet and I'm on Facebook while we're having family time, because that's a bold-faced lie. You're either with them or you're not. So don't promise them you'll be fully present if you're really going to be working. Go work and be more efficient. Sarah, you underestimate your time commitments too. I know it's hard. And Mama of all trades, I need to figure out how to get product reviews done during the day with the kids on opposite nap schedules. Hearing them in the background of the video isn't the best. That's really hard. And actually, Ashley, that might be something that you need to think about. Banking on nap time is always dicey, very, very dicey. So you need to think about, is there a certain time of the week where it would be really wise for you to have your kids completely covered and you remove from them in a way that you could do those product reviews and queue them up One of the best ways to be efficient with your work is to try and do as much as you can ahead of time and not have it be that you're always right on deadlines. So think about that you might want to schedule a day that's your product review day, and on that day, that's what you're doing. And I'll wrap up with that as my last bit of insight that I want you to think about for summer scheduling. We've talked about swapping, we've talked about using mother's helpers, we've talked about paying college kids, and all of those options, using camps for your heaviest times where you really don't want to have to worry about it and everybody's happy. But also, when you look at your summer work schedule, consider grouping what you do for certain days. You may want to have a day where the only thing you do all day is write and everything's written for the next 2 weeks. You may have a day where all you want to do is product reviews and you've got yourself in a place where the house is quiet, you can film, and you can do as many takes as you need to. You may want to spend a day where you're just doing technical back-end work, where it's your maintenance day. And then, of course, please don't overlook your prospecting day where you're looking for new business and opportunities to earn. So consider that. That'll be my last tip about summer. Consider blocking your days by task. And that way, you're really working Monday for writing, Tuesday for reviews, Wednesday for prospecting. And this was something that I learned and also was reinforced to me by Daisy Sutherland, Dr. Mommy, that if you just do a lot of time blocking like that, if you know that Monday is your day to work on reviews, you're not going to be thinking about anything else. And that just makes you that much more efficient. And that's what we're talking about. Summer is supposed to be fun. So you want to be efficient for your work, with your work, so that you can make the most of those summer memories, not just for your kids, but for yourself. So I want you guys to feel free to email me with any questions at any time. And I can't thank you enough for coming today. Amy, it was great to see you. Ashley, Lily, Sarah, am I forgetting anybody? Happy Housewife. I really appreciate you guys' support. I know my schedule's been off a little bit, so thanks for stopping by. And is there anything else anybody wants to ask real fast? Because we're just about ready to wind down. I'm making sure I've addressed everybody. Amy, you've taken your older ones to conferences every summer, but you're not ready to let them go to camp. I know, me either. Sarah, thank you so much. That means the world to me. I know your schedule's busy, so I really appreciate you being here. Let's see. You're welcome, Amy. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, you guys, have a great day. And again, email me if you have any questions at all. Take care.